Welcome back to the Born to Trade podcast. Today I'm joined by someone you've met before, Kojo Forex, for an exclusive special edition episode. We've heard his backstory, but today we're focusing on something different. We're diving deeper into the emotional code behind every trading decision. Kojo, long time.
Yeah, long
It's
time.
been a while. Kojo, let's start with some quickfire questions. And obviously, it's good to have you back and back by popular demand. That podcast that we did together, I just would read the comments, and it's so clear that you've touched and impacted so many people's lives with the education and the information you provide people, and it's inspiring. But basically, due to popular demand, that's why we're back, and obviously we'll dive a little deeper than we did last time.
Right.
With that being said, let's start with some quickfire questions. So, and I know you'll love this one. If your trading style was a music genre, what would it be?
I'd say it would be folk.
Folk music.
Yeah, folk.
What do you
music.
mean? That's funny.
The one artist that is like really dominant in the folk category or genre is Enya.
I like Enya.
And I love Enya, So basically you could just feel the calmness from that angle. When I'm trading, I just like that whole serene calmness. So like I'd relate it to folk, yeah.
And Enya is your go-to?
Yeah, I'm really in the zone all the time when I'm trading.
I know you are. I remember you said you put your headphones on and you just go for it. So, okay, that's awesome. What's your go-to reset when you feel off balance during a session?
Off balance. I'd say still music. Yeah, music plays a lot of role in my life.
One emotion that's helped you the most as a trader. One emotion.
Say patience.
Patience.
Yeah.
What's something people misunderstand about your trading mindset?
That I have a holy grail.
Just of the knowledge or predicting the markets kind of thing? Or
it's like they don't expect me to make mistakes.
Okay.
It's like they think I figured it all out. I'm supposed to be a perfect trader.
Have you been in a position where people hold you accountable for their trading mistakes?
Yes.
How do you handle that? Because that can be kind of, emotionally demanding.
Yeah, I mean, I bring them back. I try to bring them to my level to make them understand that that's how it's supposed to be. Like, there isn't like that perfect system in trading where like I'm not susceptible to any mistakes. I'm just a human being, just as them. That's I only have a little bit of edge in being a little bit more right than wrong. Yeah.
So let's look at trading through the pressure. Behind every trade, there's a mental state. We don't talk about it enough, though. And it's pressure and, self-doubt. They all show up on the charts. And eventually, Kojo, has there been a moment where emotions almost took over?
Yeah, so many times.
Let's tell me an example or a situation.
Yeah. It's funny that we have the most recent encounter in the same question you've asked, because it has been like, let's say, a good 2-3 years. I practically did any type of boot camp in the industry in terms of like helping or training others. All they get is like my pre-recorded videos or YouTube videos. So in the last like 1 week or 2 weeks, myself with a group of friends that trade like myself were like, okay, why not? Let's just give something back to the community. But for us to like let them feel the process, we decided to do something obscure, something that is not quite usual in what the mentor scene would do, which is like growing a $500 account. And so we did more like a internal challenge between the three of us, but we were literally trading and showing the history to the community on social media.
Trading same product, same account type, same spreads. How'd it go? So 3 people, $500 each. What happened?
You could feel it, because like we all have our own individual communities, right? And they all have their own names in their own regions as well, and they're well known as well.
So this was like a proper like public trading competition.
Yeah.
And what was how long was the?
For 1 month.
For 1 month, okay.
For 1 month.
Tell me more. That's interesting.
It was very interesting, because I started off very hard, for $500, and it was a competition. So for the most part, it's like I needed to just one way or the other come up on top, and I'll be frank to say that sometimes I did throw risk management out of the way, and sometimes I did have to like keep risk management in check because, you can blow the account and then it's publicly like being followed, So I did put in a few big lots, 5 lots, 1 lots, just to get ahead in time early. And then I think the first day I ended up growing the account by more than 100%, and I posted a result online. And then everybody was cheering, okay, yeah, you're in the lead. And then the other two guys had not traded. So you could see like they being under pressure. I sleep, wake up, and then they're already at 2,000. Like, wow. I started off good, now they're in the lead. So now emotions just keep setting in. Like that thing went on for a good 1 month, and then I could not keep my head at rest because I'm just thinking.
Every day that consumed you.
Yeah, it did consume me,
So what was the final?
You'd be blown away to know that all of us ended up growing the account above $40,000.
You're kidding.
Yes, and then my final amount was $44,000 actually.
Amazing.
Yes, and it was all followed.
Did you withdraw it?
Yes, and it was all publicly followed.
Amazing.
They loved it. Yeah, it was. But there was a lot of experience that I didn't share publicly with that journey.
That's a lot of emotion because you have the emotions of normal trading, but now there's a competition and there's public following and your reputation to a certain extent. So that's like all in on emotions. Okay, interesting. So Kojo, with that being said, let's talk about emotional patterns. What's one thing you had to unlearn to really grow as a trader? Unlearn.
Unlearn.
Yeah.
That's quite tricky though. Then to unlearn.
Told you this time we're going deeper and making me think on this one.
One thing I had to unlearn. Oh, okay. They are probably related to strategy,
Okay.
Probably related to strategy because when I started trading, I think in the previous one I said I really went through the process of being like a scalper, day trader, and then swing trader. And I said if you gave me the opportunity, I'd rather start from being like a swing trader, gain that patience before I like come all the way down to like dealing the 5 minute, 1 minute, because by then I would have built my patience and like psychology well intact. But I quite remember that during those times in my journey, there were like so many unusual technical skills or technical strategies that I was using that was somewhat full of indicators. I'm not saying that people that use indicators are doing it wrong, but I had it extremely cluttered on my charts because I just was so soaked in it. Like
it becomes like a paralysis by analysis. There's just too much information, literally.
Yeah. I was literally consumed, and then what happens? You'd have one like just playing out, a day or two, sometimes a week, and then the next time that I take a loss out of that, then I clean it all up and I go look for a new one, until that at that point I'm like, okay, it's okay, it's done. I'm done with like the whole, indicator era. I need to like learn a new strategy entirely, which is like going into price action. And that's just really when my real journey into price action began.
That was the game changer.
Yeah, it was a real game changer for me because for me, I suddenly started asking myself like questions from the beginning, really funny questions. I started asking that, okay, who started all this technical analysis, and then like what did they used to do then? I wanted to like follow the journey, and that's where I read about Edward and Maggie. Apparently they had written a book in the 1940s about technical analysis of stock trend, and I just saw like they were really doubling down on chart patterns and trend lines, and like, okay, these people are using purely like price action to predict long-term and short-term directional movement of the market. So I had to unlearn just depending on external indicators to like depending on the real price action.
The fortitude to understand that what you're doing is wrong and trying to understand a new way to research and trade, that says a lot, because I think some people, I don't know if you want to call it some sort of like an ego or whatever, but they keep on repeating the same mistakes and expecting different results. Interesting. So you had to unlearn a strategy that you were using because it was just unsuccessful. You were losing.
Yes.
At one point were you like, you know what, instead of unlearning just to stop trading, or you're like, no, I'm gonna conquer this and I need to just do it better?
So you see, what most people don't touch on, or probably not said much, is how much of a difficult process it is to transition from one strategy to another. Because
learning a new language.
Exactly.
Literally.
It's like a habit.
Sure. Harder.
You get used to like trading with some indicator, maybe just because you've just been so dependent on it for like a year, 2 years. It's a part of you your eyes is trained to like see it and interpret it, and suddenly somebody's like delete all of those things and then do it this way. You'd find yourself subconsciously going back to put that thing on. It's like breaking the rules without realizing. You need somebody to be very strong on you to just keep that momentum going. Or if you don't have anybody watching you, then you have to be that person to watch your own self. And that can be very difficult. It's just like somebody trying to quit smoking or drinking. They find themselves going back to doing those things subconsciously or even in hidden.
Muscle memory kind of thing.
I had a guy come to one of my training sessions in the academy in Ghana, and then I saw his chart was just full of indicators and just cluttered stuff. And then I taught them like all that I do in trading, pure price action technicals and all of that, And then at the end of the session, he comes back, could you have a little bit of issue? I'm like, okay, what is it? And then I see that he's panicking to open his laptop. I'm like, feel free, open it. Because when you open the laptop, all the things that I asked them to delete, he still has them on. And then he's still like just stuck in the dark. So it's like everything that I thought.
But, some people, he needs to help himself. And there's only so much you can do. So,
yeah. So for me, like there was that critical moment where I'm like, I'm going to use the next 1 year to 6 months to just, delete all of these things, reform my mind, and then follow this new path that I want to. At least I need to see a result. And then the other thing that I had to also be disciplined with was not just using short-term decisions to make long-term or like short-term, let's say, inconveniences to make long-term decisions, in the sense that just because I am switching from the indicators and going to like price action, if I take a loss in a week or even in a month, then suddenly I'm like, okay, that one is not working, and then start looking for something else. I came to the point of understanding that I needed a long-term data to be able to back what I was doing. So giving myself between 6 months and a year was enough time for me to like analyze and see if what I was doing was really good.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like, let's say with discipline, for example, I mean, it's a word that gets thrown out a lot. We also discussed that last time, but what does emotional discipline look like for you now versus a beginner trader? So discipline now versus, we started trading 2014 or 17?
12, actually.
2012. So emotional discipline for Kojo Forex now versus 12, same, or is it different, or has it evolved?
It is different, it is different. It's just different in so many ways. In terms of psychology, like for me, it's like once I just understood, I think we just touched base on that previously, like nobody's going to hold my hands to put on the risk. Once I just understood that, like before I take a trade, I'm in control of my own self, So if I know that I'm blowing my account, like, yeah, I took actions that led to that. So prior to that, then I know that I have to like put my risk management in check. I have to like go according to the rules. So if I have situations where I feel like, okay, I want to expose this account, to risk, I know. And then if I double it, fine. If it doesn't go well as well, yes, it is. Like just like the competition account, I just knew that certain times, some of the risk that I was putting on, I did take loss in some of them. Like I did have a huge setback in most of them, most of the times. There were times where like we were being up 20,000, then I'd come down to like, let's say 17,000 or 14,000. And then the rest are up like, 22,000. I had to like have that mental fortitude to build back up while still maintaining risk management, because obviously the public is still following that. So you kind of have like some crazy level of, discipline and then mental strength to be able to like go through that.
Do you think you've built in steps to stop emotional trading outside of your other competition, but to stop emotional trading? Do you have like kind of your own kind of risk protections built into you? Like, do you know that, hey, you know what, this is actually, I'm not aligning with being true to myself in terms of my trading? Do you have this? Yeah?
Yes, a lot of time. There are times where I'd like trade and then take a loss, and then I just know that this is it for the day. Like I'm done. Even though like I'd go back, let's say I took that loss in the morning, right? And then it's still very early hours in the morning, and then it's like 12 New York session, and I come back to the chart and I see a very good setup. And I'm really like tempted, like I need to just take this again. Like But I'm like, I'm done for the day. I just remember that I said I'm done for the day.
When you say you're done, I mean, do you have, let's say, like a target profit amount per day or a target loss amount?
Yes, loss amount.
And then when you reach that, let's say, call it $100, you reach a profit or loss, and you're done no matter what.
Yes, no matter what.
I mean, look, everyone talks about the successes, but not enough about what happens after a tough loss. So how do you bounce back mentally outside of your headphones and, your meditation? How do you rebuild your confidence to know that you're on the right path?
So, I'll be honest, when it came to like the last part of the conversation, when I talked about zoning in for the last like 6 months to a year in terms of strategy, what I intend was building was like a strategy that could that could stand the test of time, if I put it that way, and I did do a good amount of historical backtesting.
This is with the go strategy.
Yes, absolutely. For that, and then what I just concluded with what I just found out was that there's no market condition that like I would not be able to like come out of. If I follow risk management, there'll be times where like I'll make a few losses, but if I keep the same momentum going, then I'll easily make those losses back and then make profit. Where I'm driving this or centering the focus on is traders prioritizing like finding that true edge in the market.
True edge?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Like truly reaching profitability through a well backtested, a well data driven and backed strategy. A strategy. Because sometimes we just put a lighter note on it. And it's like, okay, you just got to be a trader, psychology, risk management. But what about the strategy? Like, do you really have that edge? Do you really have that thing that separates you from the rest of the people?
Okay, we talk about discipline, we talk about risk management, we talk about it, and it's easier said than done. But so you're saying that really the next level for someone is to find the strategy and kind of, that's not so easy though.
It is not.
I mean, that could be forever. It could be a lifelong journey.
Yes, that is the essence of trading, and that's what separates you from the masses. Once you conquer that, then you can, have the time to deal with like the psychology and then the emotional part of it. But if you've not answered that first, then your journey has not even begun. Most people think their journey has begun because they're dealing with psychological issues, like they're not able to hold trade first and for a long time. No, that's just like on the surface. But the real problem comes when you have to like know that this is the system that I'm reliant on for a long time. Because, from our previous conversation, like trading is a career. And if it's a career, like you have to know that you're putting yourself in some form of autonomous, like a repetitive process. And if that repetitive process can only last you for like a year or two, then what are you going to do for the rest of the 18 years that you have to work, or 15 years,
Sure.
whatever year? So that's where people need to like calm down to understand properly that they understand it, whether they're using only technicals or technicals in confluence with fundamentals. Like, have you got it all clear that at all times, like right now we have like all of these geopolitics going on. Are you still like active in the market? Does your system still respect some of these things regardless of how the market is moving? Yeah, I feel like once you have that confidence there, then the rest you can deal with them. You just can put some systems and measures in place to measure your risk, to have calmness in holding trade positions for long in terms of patience. But just imagine that you're patient. Imagine that you have all the calmness, but your system is just broken, and then loss after loss and after loss. It doesn't matter what psychology you go through.
Totally.
You're still going to be down because the system is just not working.
But I mean, it sounds like for you, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like really self-awareness has been a complete game changer for you, because I don't hear it. I mean, I speak to a lot of people, but it's some people are just chasing their tails. They're not willing to accept mistakes and, or learn from their mistakes. And so it sounds like that's the self-awareness is really kind of taking you to the next level.
Absolutely,
huh?
You're right.
If you could go back to, your early days of trading to Kojo, 13 years ago, 14 years ago, what would you tell him to do differently? Outside of the strategies, like, I mean, more just on like the journey, the path. What would you tell him
to do differently?
Yeah, or to be aware of.
To be honest, I did really enjoy like the whole process.
Definitely, the journey is like half of the fun.
So if you ask me to go back, I'm really wondering what I'll do differently. Because what I did right back then was, and maybe sometimes I always just say that just as part of like a leverage, my background also in accounting and finance did play a good role in my direction and in trading. And so initially it was like cramming up every information I could get about the market, about trading, about strategy. I was reading books, listening to podcasts, watching videos, like consuming theses of like, fund managers and all of that, and then out of all of that, I even still came down to like the retail level of watching the ordinary retail guy, the mentors, the lifestyle guys, everybody like just watching it all. I had at one point on my file like almost all these videos and all of these strategies, right? And I would take time to watch them. But one question I was asking myself throughout those period was that every one of them believed in their system. And if every one of them believed in it, it means that there was some level of truth that was evident in each one of them. And this is where like the aspect of confluence play a strong role, in the sense that like if I trade a different system and then it says that gold is going to go on a buy,
Yep.
and then Nima also trades a different system and he's seeing the same thing but from a different perspective, then it's like there is an intertwine between the two. There's like that point where the two meet. Other than that, then those two can some way somehow be put together and it will still work. It's like an added confluence. If I have like some support level that tells me that gold is going to go up, and then you have some moving average that says gold is going to go up. When I add my support to your moving average, then I kind of have like a two strong like basis to reason to the point that gold is going to go up. So watching all those videos and then all those strategies was like the defining moment of picking the pieces together to create what I did. To create my strategies, like to that's why I named it, like I repeated, the GOAT strategy in abbreviation for the greatest of all time strategy, because like some systems would never change, some technicals will never, no matter how fancy people call them, the basis still remains. I rely on support, resistance, candlestick, trend lines. Like I rely on.
Do you think like with so much geopolitical events going on, is it okay? Let me ask you, put it this way: are all these high level of geopolitical events, do they affect your technical strategies?
Yes.
Because it's more like, are the markets more volatile? Do you find that it makes it more difficult to trade?
Yes, they do affect it, but need being aware earlier on that we cannot eliminate or sort of take out the fundamental from the core aspect of the market. I did find a way to inculcate these geopolitical and major fundamentals into the strategy as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're very well embedded in the strategies as well.
So do you take kind of like a self-inventory with your trading? Like you go for, let's say, the previous month and kind of just look at your trades and your profitability or your drawdown and these things? Or how do you kind of improve? I mean, you have a strategy that's working for you, but how do you kind of reassess what's been done and identify mistakes maybe that you've made? Do you still do that, or?
Well, I used to do that actively. Now I do that, but not extremely actively, if I'll be fair. But I used to do that active, especially in the years where I started like just solidifying the strategy. I'd have like folders that I'd put every week's trade, the screenshots inside, the setup, how it played out, I just put it inside. I mean, these days there's like so many journal tools that traders can use, but then back then I didn't have journals, so I needed to just open folder and then do the whole
proper manual
screenshot. And it was a bit tedious, like doing that. But I mean, and I still enjoy it. If you leave me to go back to being very active, like in terms of like keeping that record and then checking my mistakes and what I'm doing right, I still go back to the manual one. They sometimes there's just something unique about those old school approaches.
No doubt about it. All right, Kojo, so to close things off, what would you say is one underrated emotional skill traders should work on? Underrated emotional skill.
Today's questions are...
We're going for it. We're going for it.
Underrated emotional skill.
Yeah. Because, we talked about all the fear, greed, hope, and all these things, and, these, but ultimately, what would you say is that underrated or overlooked skill, emotional skill?
I feel like we've touched base on it, but I still not feel to emphasize that it'll still be like patience. It's like somewhat overrated at the same time also underrated. Because like it becomes like a cliche where everybody's like, okay, you gotta have patience, but indeed you really gotta have like patience. There's this book that I was reading. I read that book in 2018, but
what's the name?
I don't know. It's called Zen in the Market.
Zen in the Market.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll check it out.
It's just a piece of book. Just you could read it in a day or barely a few hours. It's fully on psychology.
Okay.
What
do you think that, like, reading that was kind of the shift into the
it contributed
the light?
It contributed. It
Really?
contributed heavily. I read a lot of
So
books.
give me three moments in your trading career where it was like the light, like a really awakening moment that you'll never forget. Three.
Hmm. Let's speak about the Sunday where it's like all the pieces came together for me. It's like I was supposed to go to church, and then I said I was not going to go. I gave a friend of mine who I was sharing a room with, offering that, look, go contribute for me. I'm just gonna be in the room. I needed to find some answers that I was looking for,
Okay.
and that answers was like, why does the market turn where it turns, and then what does it do before it turns?
Okay.
That's like, why? I'm just watching all these charts
Yeah.
and asking myself critical questions like, why does the market turn where why is it that it's just going there and suddenly it just started?
Sure.
Why? What happened? Like, who's controlling it? Like,
Yeah.
I was so worried. Like, why? And then what does it do before? Because I realized that if I could find a why and I could also find what it does, then I could find some
Okay.
edge in there. I could find some, I'd say, speculative edge in there, be able to like uh perhaps get in early on the market before that happens. And I did find those answers that on that fateful Sunday. I realized the simple answers to all of that was that I was not going to be able to find reasoning to why all the actions did happen, but I could find consistencies in most of them. And there are some that are just unexplainable and they're not going to align with uniformity, which is like repeatedness. So I should just appreciate the few repeatedness and then leverage on them.
Okay.
So I don't care when I'm just watching a chat and the whole day I'm not finding the few 3-4 times in a week, 5 times in a month. Those patterns, I have to make sure that I'm participating in the patterns that I
When you
recognize.
see it again, got it.
Yes, and then when I don't, then it's fine. So there were weeks where, like, especially when a lot of people were following me in the community and then my trading and putting it all out, like other traders will come and then Monday they trade in, Tuesday they trade in, and then traders like, Kojo, what is happening? Are you trading? You're not watching the market? I'm like, I am. I'm just like not seeing it. I'm just chilled. And it could be like Thursday or Friday, then I'll drop like finally one trade. And that one trade will just make like maybe 200 pip, 500 pip. Like, wow, Kojo, just one trade. But
Like a sniper.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so like just understanding that also did make like a lot of difference.
So you mentioned patience a few times.
Yes.
So give me some patience with what? Patience with how quick my success will come, patience with the markets. What does patience mean for you exactly? And for our listeners who probably need to exercise it.
Right. So you see, I did touch base on the book which I said Zen in the Market.
Yeah,
right?
Zen in the Market.
Yes.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah. And a few part of the first chapter of the book focused on some of the things that we hear in the market all the time, but almost as if we're not able to just follow those simple rules as traders. It's like you say buy low and then sell high, but you get traders buying high and then still selling low. So you're asking yourself, why are you not able to do like that simple thing? And so like it double down on the fact that like we almost just like not able to follow simple rules as human beings, even when in light of it, it brings us the success that we're looking for. So it's like a piece of a book that just brings back the true awareness of like what you're not doing and more like reaffirming that if you bring yourself to doing this, then you're set up for success.
Well, it sounds like it comes down to like an emotional control.
Yes.
So for someone who's, let's say, listening who maybe is trying to figure out how to have emotional control or lacks it, well, what advice would you give them?
I'd say you must put in a lot of conscious effort and work on self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
And I was happy that you did touch on it because
it's important in life, not just trading. I mean, and just being a good human and doing right by people. So
yeah, because like Nima, I put it this way: imagine that you're failing in maths all the time, and then like they're telling you that the only way for you to succeed in that is that you put in the work of practicing your exams just 1 hour a day.
Yeah.
And then you're not doing that and you're expecting to pass. You probably, have to blame yourself for the rest of. So in trading as well, like as traders, that like you need to follow the simple rules, and then you're not following it, and then you're not getting successful, don't blame the outside world. That's where the internal locus of control comes in. You just have to own it. Yes, you just put it right.
What do you? I mean, let me ask you this: for you, like in your successes with trading, is the financial winnings the better feeling, or knowing that you figured it or you've cracked the code? What is more satisfying? I mean, probably it is the investments and the earnings.
Yeah, there's a thin line between the two, actually. Yeah. You know, sometimes it's, but I'd say for the most part is in the being right. You know, there's that. Yeah,
sure, that kind of.
Yeah, there is the soothsayer feeling in the like you could call the future type of a thing.
Definitely.
You know, I've done that a few times.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes I'm too bold to like put them out publicly, and then you have people like we're having a very opinionated perspective. Then it turns out that okay, you're right, and then people come back giving you credit. So you kind of like enjoy that moment, and even like looking at what the PNL says actually.
Sure. All right, Kojo, this has been good. And again, I mean, last podcast, I mean, I had a really good time, but we got so much positive feedback, and the listeners were so just happy with the information. And I think we'll be doing this more. And I'm thinking maybe next one we'll come to you this time.
Thank you.
Being born to trade isn't just about instinct. It's about awareness, discipline, and tools that give you control. Thanks for joining us, Kojo. And for everyone listening, remember, emotions are part of the job. Manage them is a part of the edge. We would appreciate it if you could support the podcast by subscribing and leaving us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you listen.